I love to think big and dream big, and I do it all the time. My mother always told me I could be anything I wanted to be, and well, I believed her. I still believe her. What she forgot to tell me is I had to have goals, I had to write down my goals, and I needed to define them in order to be whatever it is I wanted. So, I'm going to share with you the very same sentiment. You can be anything you want to be, and don't let anyone tell you differently. You can also be the photographer you want to be. No dream, no dream is too big. Be bold, but be realistic. It's going to take some work, I guarantee this. Before we get to the photographer you want to be, let's start by writing down your goals. Now, it took me a little bit of time to think of how I was going to present this goal lesson to you. It would have been very easy for me to stand in front of a camera and point at you and tell you, write down your goals and you must know your goals, etc., etc. You know, goals are a very personal thing. They are yours. They're not for you to jump up in public and say, hey, goal number one that I have is this, and I'm going to achieve it by this date. You don't need to do that. Your goals really are for you, and you need to use them as a guide to know where you're going to go step by step through your process of whatever it is that you want to do. Now, writing goals is never an easy task. I know from firsthand experience. Let's use the following criteria to help you develop your list. If you don't catch everything during this presentation, don't worry. Everything I'm saying now and everything that is being presented to you is in a PDF directly after this lesson. Are you ready? Okay, here's the criteria. First, you want to be specific. Writing specific objectives or goals helps define what your goal is, so you can easily identify what you want to accomplish. So be specific. Second, make your goal measurable. If your goal is not measurable, there will be no way to know if you're making progress. You need to address this question. How will I know when the goal is accomplished? Think about that. You need to know, okay, I want to be a photographer. Okay, that's a very broad goal, but let's roll with that. The first thing I want to do to become a photographer is own a camera. Okay, I have a camera now. Check off, that's measurable. Then I want to learn how to use my camera. I want to know how to take a really good photograph. I need to learn exposure, aperture, ISO, composition, etc. Those are goals. Those are specific. And when I know those things, ISO, exposure, aperture, composition, then I can go learn and practice and learn more about creating a really beautiful image. Okay, so you've now done something that you can measure. I've done this, I've learned this, and now I can go to the next step. That's what we mean by making your goal measurable. Third, make your goal attainable. Your goal must be something you can realistically attain. If you want to begin your photography career as a rock star, gracing the cover of National Geographic magazine, you might want to rethink your goal. If you want to photograph for Vogue magazine right in the beginning, you might want to rethink your goal. Be realistic and make your goals achievable in the near future. Fourth, make your goals relevant. If your goal doesn't mean anything to you, then it isn't worth pursuing. Tie your goals to your deeper values to give them more meaning. Believe in what you're doing, basically, is what this is saying. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing, you probably are not going to be motivated to do it. And then that goal is out the window. Make sure that you are behind your goal 100% so you stay motivated to achieve it. Finally, and this is very important, and we often leave this out. You know, it's so easy at the beginning of a new year to say, okay, I'm going to lose weight this year. Okay, that's a very broad goal, right? And this year could be any time from January to the end of December. Well, when are you going to begin and when are you going to achieve this goal? Chances are you're not, because you have not set a deadline. So be time bound. You need to have a deadline. Otherwise, it's just a dream that never becomes reality. Writing a deadline makes you more committed to bring your goal to fruition, to make it a reality. A large portion of your goals is accomplished as soon as you write them down. So why don't you get a special little notebook or big notebook and make this your goal notebook. This is where you're going to write down your goals. You're more likely to accomplish your goals if you write them down. Writing down your goals makes them real. They're tangible words on a paper. You can look at them. You've written them. You could probably smudge them if you rub your finger across the words. They're not an ethereal dream in your mind that sometimes they just drift in and they drift out of your memory, and before you know it, time has passed and you've missed the deadline for your goal because it's just in your head. I get sidetracked all the time. I can identify with that. And so I always make it a rule to write everything down. So let's stop now. Take as much time as you need to write your goal or goals with regard to your photography. What do you want to achieve? What is it that you want? What is it that you want to want? I mentioned that before, and really think about that. What do you want to want? My only rules for this exercise are these things. Be positive, be thorough, be realistic, and write a deadline for each goal.